and support you guys in that. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to join us this year because of the COVID regulations on how many people we can have in the auditorium. Usually we also do a potluck event with that and have like a dinner. This year we're going to have cookies and bottled punch or bottled juice, something provided, just again because of COVID. Like you guys aren't allowed to bring in stuff. So that'll be a little bit modified, but we're still really excited to celebrate you. You guys will officially receive your jackets. You guys will officially receive your Green Hand degrees and officially kind of be initiated into the chapter, if you will. Also that week, we're going to be doing really fun stuff in class. Our Adopt a Family delivery will be either the 15th or the 16th or both, or if that's where they're coming picking up, we're having Santa's workshop. And then on the 17th is our new member night from 6 to 10 p.m. It is very expected that you guys are there, unless you have health stuff, whatever. But as much as I can make something mandatory during a pandemic, chalk that one up as that. So put that in your brain. But we'll have shirts for you. That's totally a day of spoils, and very excited for that.
I have two things. Do we know times on New Member Night and the Green Hand Banquet?
They will both start at 6. The Green Hand Banquet will probably be like 6 to 8, I would imagine, like from arrival till leaving. The New Member Night, we're planning 6 to 10.
The New Member Night is really long.
Well, we'll probably wrap up. I'm saying 6 to 10. We'll probably wrap up like 9:15, 9:30. But like, I block off that hour. Yeah. Like by the time the officers are totally clean and all of us are out.
Wait, when's the Green Hand Banquet? 6 to 9?
Probably 6 to 8. I imagine it'll probably be like an hour, hour and a half, especially since we're not doing a meal.
I don't know.
Green Hand Banquet is on the 14th and
Yes.
New Member Night is on the 17th.
Yes. Monday and Thursday. So there shouldn't be any games those days, because those are both middle school game days for winter sports. Also remember, you guys can bring in stockings for the ag room. We'll draw for our gift exchange once I've got a pile of people that we need to get added to it who are on quarantine or whatever. And then on the 18th, you guys will need to be at school early. Every year we do a Green Hand breakfast with our members just before school, and some of the upperclassmen come and kind of join you guys for that too. So that'll be the 18th before school. We'll probably meet at like 6:30 for that.
Oh my God, stuff.
Yeah, the whole week of Green Hand fun. All about you. Also, we'll have our Christmas party on the 21st. The last day of school on the 22nd. Christmas parties during class, so that'll be cool. And then also, hopefully we'll find out afternoon tomorrow, novice and advanced Parley Pro, how they did. So if you're on the Parley Pro team today and tomorrow at lunch, we're gonna have a Kahoot time to get y'all ready for the test.
The long age is good.
Novice and advanced will be.
So you might have answered this, but why is it called the Green Hand Banquet? Like, what does Green Hand mean?
The Green Hand degree is an official, I don't know where the name came from, but like you're fresh to like Green Hand, like the Green Hand degree is an official degree that the National FFA gives out. So you'll be receiving your Green Hand degree at that banquet. It's the first degree that you can earn as an FFA member. So then leads to your chapter degree, state degree, American degree, if you choose to go that far. Okay, questions on any of that stuff that's coming up?
Oh, it's just kids.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yes, parents don't come to New Member
Yeah,
Night.
that's what I thought.
Yeah. New Member Night is you guys, and then the upperclassmen will facilitate it for you. Questions on the rest of that? Okay. New Member Night is the 17th of December. Okay, so we are going to start talking about public speaking today because remember, you guys are going to be expected to start presenting the creed on Tuesday, like this coming Tuesday. So you guys should be working on memorizing that. You guys, like I said, will be expected to start presenting it on Tuesday. If any of you haven't memorized, the first person in this class to come up and be able to just say it to me, remember, gets their free choice of item out of the Shop FFA catalog.
So like when we're up presenting or whatever, can we like take like 30-second or a minute break between each paragraph to like
30 seconds or a minute?
no, not
That's a long time.
no, not that long. It's not, yeah, like 10 or 15 seconds. Just like
Were you?
We'll
get
talk
your
about-
bearings,
we'll
and, like
talk about
know what you're
pauses.
gonna.
We'll talk about that.
Like,
So that being said,
yeah,
I'll be able to talk. I'll be able to talk forever, but
Yeah.
memorizing it, that's gonna be way hard.
also know that you guys are going to be setting yourselves up for success because in January starts the Creed Speaking Contest. So that this is the only year that you guys are eligible to participate in the Creed Speaking Contest. It is only for freshmen. So, or first year members. So, you guys, this is after this, you have to write your own speech and do some other stuff like that. So, being successful here, memorizing Creed, being able to present it, is going to set you up for that if you would like to compete in that contest in January. So we're going to talk about public speaking. Yesterday we talked about the idea of different things different concepts of what we've seen in good speakers, right? You guys have all watched a speaker of some sort, even if it's just your teachers at the front of the room. There's some teachers that probably hold your attention a little bit more, and some that are a little more like, right? And you're like, oh my gosh. So teachers, speakers, all that, there's different strategies that people can use to really keep you engaged, okay? So some of you are saying, Miss Wallet, I am going to actually, like, I cannot do this. This freaks me out. I cannot speak in front of people. I cannot memorize stuff. I cannot do this. I think I told you guys this the other day. If you were to ask any alumni who has graduated from the FFA, I guarantee that one of their biggest takeaways from the program is being able to stand in front of a group of people and confidently be able to share their ideas, okay? So this might be like earth-shatteringly terrifying for you now, but it's gonna help you so much down the line, okay? So, did you die? No, maybe mentally, internally you
A
died.
little bit inside.
But physically, you're still with us, and that is what matters. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday, things you guys think makes a good speech. There are 3 things that you guys need to know if you are going to be a good public speaker. So, in your little bookies here, you to jot some of this down.
what place is that?
There's also the rubric that you guys are going to be graded on when you give your 165. So, you guys on those top 5 lines can jot down things that you think makes a great speaker. Go ahead and capture some things there. On those first 5 lines, things that you guys thought brainstormed yesterday, thought made a great speaker. But there's 3 things that you guys need to know when we talk about public speaking. The first thing that you need to know is your material. In this case, and I'm teaching the same thing right now to the sophomores, and you guys will get a review of this next year, because next year you guys will write and deliver your own speeches in class. This year, you guys are working more on the actual principles of the speaking piece with something that's already written for you, okay? So your material, knowing your material is the Creed, right? Having it memorized, being confident with it, understanding the words that you're saying, rather than just memorizing and saying them, which we'll dive into a little bit as we have time. Our remote learning kind of got in the way of that. But pick a topic that interests you. Know more than you say. You'll be more confident. If you guys really understand the meaning of the Creed, then you're going to be a lot more successful in delivering it, because you're not just saying, with faith born not of words but of deeds. Okay, what does that mean? What does a faith born not of words but of deeds mean?
Well, it's like, you, believe that means that they have to not what they said.
Okay, so translate that deeper for me.
Like, we go out and do things and we don't just say what
It's like actions speak louder than words.
Yep, so a fancy way to say actions speak louder than words. So when we really sit there and think about it, it makes so much sense, right? I believe in the future of agriculture with a faith born not of words but of deeds. I believe in the future of agriculture because the agricultural industry for years has walked the walk rather than just talking the talk. They don't say that they're just going to do something, they actually go out and do it. In the same principles with our FFA chapter, we don't just say, oh, we serve our community. We're going out and we're actively doing things understand that, you're a lot more confident in what you're saying, and you're a lot more, you believe it more, right? You're gonna be more passionate about it because you know the words that you're saying rather than, you know what they mean rather than just what it is that you're saying. Does that make sense? Also, most of the time in another speech, we'll talk about it later, but you can use humor, be personal, be conversational. When you guys deliver the creed in class, you'll answer one question afterwards. Those questions are written in your book. In the contest, you would answer 2 to 3. So those are ways where you can be really conversational rather than being super like, yes, right, rather than being super stiff. Like if you can tell a story to that question, like they say, what is one example of a joy and discomfort of agricultural life? Okay. One example of a joy of agricultural life that I have experienced was being able to raise my lamb for the county fair, and when I showed it, it actually was the 3rd overall lamb, and just being able to see from start to finish the hard work that I put in really pay off in the show ring was really exciting for me, right? So you were able to share a personal story that just makes that what you're saying more relatable. Is that cool? So know your material, understand the creed, dive into the actual meaning of it, not just the words that you're saying. The second thing that you need to know with public speaking is your audience, right? If I am speaking to a group of preschoolers, okay, I'm probably not going to bring in Kevin Hart as a public speaker.
Okay, but he could do that.
Might be a little inappropriate in his traditional form, right? If I'm talking to a group of 3rd graders, I'm not going to talk about biointensive fuel uses on Mars in our astrophysics, whatever, I don't even know the words I'm saying, right? They're going to sit there like, kind of like little trolls on Frozen when they blink their eyes and they're like, right? So they're not going to dive into what you're saying. If I'm going to the Democratic National Convention, I'm not going to tell them how great Republicans are or vice versa. They're not going to like it, right? It won't be ironic, but they're not going to like those things. So I'm going to know my audience to make sure that my message lines up with them, and also that I know how they're going to react. With the creed, you guys don't have to worry about that so much because it's pre-written for you. So you guys are dealing on the actual delivery of the creed and your understanding of it. The last thing that you need to know when you are public speaking is the room. Okay, and I'm going to tell you a story about this. When I was in college, I had the opportunity to serve as a state FFA officer. So for a year, I traveled around the state to different high schools, to different collegiate events, to different professional events with different corporations and sponsors and stuff. And I gave everything from workshops to motivational speeches, to leadership nights, to all sorts of other things like that. The largest crowd I spoke in front of was 8,000. Okay. So when I would go to speaking events and that type of thing, it was huge to know the room to get there a little bit early. And there was one time I was going to speak at a Greenhand banquet, so just like we're going to have on the 14th, it was at another school. And I walked in, and we were in a cafeteria, but it was like they didn't really have a stage built up. They just had like a table at the front that had their officer stations at it. But their cafeteria had really low ceilings. It was probably about the same as this classroom, but it was about probably twice the size of our cafeteria. So it was very big. So that was fine, but I wasn't on a stage. I wasn't elevated at all, which you guys know that when somebody's elevated, they're easier to see, right? So I was eye level with everybody, about like this. And when I walked in, they said, hey, microphone's broken. Cool. So I'm eye level with you, which already hurts my projection, right? If I am up here on a surface, then when I talk, even though I don't have a microphone, my voice is going to carry further because it has to go out and down, right? So already I was at a height advantage for my projection. Now I don't have a microphone. Now there's 400 people in this really large cafeteria that I'm at eyesight with. So, okay, how can I adapt to that, right? And be able to still make sure that I'm not screaming so that Chloe's eardrums break, but also grandma in the back can hear what I'm saying, right? So knowing my room, being able to adapt, knowing what you're walking into, and getting there early so if there is something like that, you have time to kind of emotionally process it before you have to deal with it. That cool? There's also a difference on that. I'll share this with you now. There is a huge difference. I know some of you said being confident, inflection in your voice, right? Speaking loud enough. There's a difference between projecting. Okay, my parents yell at me when I use my teacher voice at the table because I'm used to using it all day. There's a difference between projecting your voice so that people can hear you and just kind of turning up the volume a little bit, and yelling the whole time because you think that you're being loud, but also this is really awful for people to listen to. Right? Big difference in those two things. So practicing that ability to just kind of turn up your volume on your voice a little bit, and then being able to kind of turn it back down a little bit too. Does this every time. You what? Oh. Okay, well, I'm getting this figured out. I'm also going to give you guys a couple other little tricks and tips and stuff, and I know it's not going to show up here, but actually I'll just kind of spin this around. Whoop. It'll be smaller, but it'll be there.
Ah, look, it's back up.
Oh, perfect. I turn this around, it'll go down, guarantee it. Okay, so when you guys are going to deliver the creed, this is huge. Those first few things super important for you guys, but also a little bit more when you're actually preparing your own speech.
Is this going to speak by
Yes. Well, you guys can write some of these things down. The do's and don'ts on the bottom lines, you guys can kind of fill in some different stuff there. There won't be a specific list of 10 do's and don'ts, but as I say different things, you guys can jot this down.
so I do it for like practice on this?
Yeah. So when you guys are preparing to give the creed, which you literally have 4 days until you're going to be expected to stand up here in front of the room and without any type of book or anything, deliver the creed with the strategies I'm about to teach. Okay. So some tips for you guys to be able to do that is practice. Please practice the creed before you get here on the day that you're going to present it. All right. Rehearse it out loud. Okay. So see if your parents will listen to you, see if your siblings will listen to you. Go into a bathroom where nobody is and actually practice saying it out loud all together using some of these speaking strategies instead of just winging it, right? Because when you say it out loud, the words actually become harder to say than when you just know the words, right? And you can kind of help yourself pace out. So one, please practice. Find out who your friends are, right? So see if there's anybody who will let you listen. Well, my parents and my roommates in college when I was traveling around doing that speaking thing, bless Whitney's heart, okay? She was my sophomore college roommate, and she listened to all of my creeds. She ran lines with me for state convention, or all of my speeches, gave me feedback. She was fantastic, really appreciated her as a person, but she would listen to it so I could practice, okay? The more you practice, the less you're gonna stutter. You guys have all heard those filler words, right? So, like, right? Those are all filler words that we use because we're taking a break. This gets to what Alexis was asking a little bit ago. Can we take breaks in our speaking? Sometimes, and this is something that as you become better and more matured speakers, you're going to develop, and it's not something that's going to happen right away. But there's a very much of an art form to somebody who, when speaking, can go from, shoot, I forgot my words, to having to make noises while they're thinking, to just being able to pause for a few seconds and then come up with their words. Right? Was that a super noticeable pause when I kind of moved there and stopped for a little bit?
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
since you were gonna do it a little
Yeah.
bit.
Right. I was leading up to it. I was talking about
You
pauses.
were talking about pauses.
Yeah. So in my head, it might think like this is forever, and like, why am I pausing for 30 seconds? Why have I not done anything in 5 minutes? Panic attack induced, right? But if you guys can get to that point where when you're talking and you can just kind of take that couple second pause, right? It's not something that your audience is really going to notice. I just did it there. Again, I'm talking about pauses, so maybe you guys picked up on it. But if you can stop for just a couple seconds, collect your thoughts, and then say purposeful words rather than where the whole audience is like, what's that? Right? So being able to take those pauses instead of freaking out. And if that means that in between paragraphs, while while you're walking, you take a little bit of a pause and make sure that you have your words together, then that's okay, and it's better than the alternative. Okay. The more you talk, the more confident you're going to be. The more you say it out loud, the more confident you're going to be in delivering this creed. The other huge piece of advice that I have for you while you are practicing, we're going to talk about hand motions. We're going to talk about how you move in between paragraphs and stuff like that. The other huge piece of advice that I have for you is find a reflective surface and practice in front of it. Find a mirror, find a window, find something that is reflective that you can practice in front of. Because let me tell you, y'all do some crazy funky things when you get up here speaking that you don't realize that you're doing. And until you see yourself do it in the mirror, every time you say avocado, you twitch, right? You're like, avocado, avocado, avocado. And I'll be like, hey, yo, Chloe, you're twitching when you say avocado. And you're like, I don't know what I'm talking about, avocado, right? And I say, Chloe, go look at yourself in the mirror and say avocado 3 times. And you go to the mirror and you say, avocado, avocado. What am I doing with my eyes? I'm like, bro, I don't know. That's what I was trying to tell you, right? So you can see those weird mannerisms that you do while you talk. Maybe you think that you're really doing really solid hand motions, right? We'll talk about this in a little bit too. But you think that you're doing hand motions because you're going like this. And in reality, it's just really slow. I coached a girl down at East Clinton when I was in college on the creed. She was preparing for her competitions, and I would tell her, do hand motions. And so she would do, I believe in the future of agriculture with a faith born not of words but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturists and the promise of better days through better ways. I was like, girl, are you finding Nemo? Is that your lucky fin? What are you doing? And she was like, what do you mean? And I said, you're swimming down here with your little fish skills. Like, what is happening? She was like, I'm doing hand motions. I said, I don't know what you're doing, but it is not hand motions. So she didn't realize that, and I said, go to the girls' bathroom, even though if somebody walks in, it's fine, whatever. Go to the girls' bathroom, say the creed, and do what you're doing. She came back, she was like, what am I doing with my hands? I said, bro, I don't know, like, you're swimming. You're propelling yourself around somewhere. So be confident, and this is a big thing too, that you feel like sometimes you're taking on too much space because you're nervous up here. Be confident getting those elbows away from your torso. Be confident getting your hands a little bit away from your body, right? So you can do some of those different things. Macarena action. Okay.
Literally, I'm still doing the Macarena. Right?
I believe in the future of agriculture with the faith born out of words but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturists. Hey! Agriculture. But practice in front of that. Again, when I was doing speeches and traveling for that, we had study rooms at my college that had big glass windows, big glass walls on it. And so I didn't realize this until about halfway through the year. But I would go down to that study room. They were soundproof. I didn't want to annoy my roommate all the time. And I would practice reading through the script and memorizing it and figuring out how was I going to flex and what, practicing my hand motions, how they naturally came. And it was all wall, so I could make eye contact with myself and pretend like I was the audience and also see what my mannerisms were. Lo and behold, it was right by the main door to the dorm, so as people were walking in, I didn't think anything of it. I would see them, but looking back now, they're probably like, why is this crazy girl locking herself in the glass room every day, like talking to herself? Like, what is happening? Like staring into the abyss out the window. I was making eye contact with myself, but they didn't know that. So, but that helped, right, and being able to practice that. So please do that before you come in to give the creed. You guys have questions on any of that?
Have we not done speed by speaking?
No, you'll know when we do.
Yeah, for my do's I put hand motions, and for my don'ts I put swim with Nemo.
Yes, perfect. Okay, the other things that I want to tell you a little bit about public speaking is America's #1 fear. Okay, it trumps death, it trumps spiders, it trumps snakes, it trumps heights, all those things. Don't look at me that way. It's real. That's a fact. Promise. Anyways, public speaking is America's #1 fear. Getting up in front of others and sharing your idea. This is the key thing that if I can tell you anything about public speaking, this is so key. Okay? Because how many of you have ever been nervous getting up in front of the class to give a speech or a presentation or something? Or standing in the auditorium stage and having to say something to a group of people. Kind of terrifying, right? So, the biggest thing that you guys can know about this, and I'm going to sit here on the stool and spit truth to you, okay? Whenever you go to public speak, whether you're giving a presentation, whether you're saying a speech, whether you're the main keynote, whatever it is, you're giving the creed, There is nobody in that audience that wants you to fail. Maybe your worst enemy who's like, oh, you flirted with my boyfriend 7 years ago. Okay. But other than that, girl, right? Nobody in that audience wants you to fail. Nobody comes strolling in that day saying, I hope this is the worst 45 minutes of my life. I hope I waste my time and I get nothing out of this. I hope this sucks. Nobody does that. Nobody wants to waste their own time. Maybe they want you. Maybe they want you to trip and fall on your face because they think it'll be funny and they secretly low-key hate your guts for flirting with their boyfriend 7 years ago. But they still don't want you to waste their time. Deep down in their gut, they still don't want to be bored for however long it is that you're going to talk. Right? So have faith in that, knowing that there's nobody out there who's like secretly wishing that it sucks the whole time. Maybe one little trip will be like, haha, karma. But then it's done. Okay. The next thing I want to teach you guys, and this is a huge thing to help you relax, and I was actually just reading kind of a devotional journal thing the other day, and it gave me this trick. It's called the 5-3-7 rule. Okay? So if you are ever freaking out, okay, about anything, not even public speaking, you're ever freaking out, having a panic attack, you're nervous, whatever, it's called the 5-3-7 rule. So I want to explain it to you, and then I want you guys to do it with me. Okay? So basically, you start inhaling at 1, and you inhale for a 5 count. So it's going to get really hard at the end, but you inhale, keep inhaling for a 5 count. You hold it for a 3 count, okay? And then you take a 7 count to totally release it. So you keep blowing out air until you get to number 7, okay? So we're going to start doing this now. It's the 5-3-7 rule. Everybody do it with me. Inhale for 5. Don't stop inhaling until I get to 5. Hold it for 3. Keep blowing out. Not like, don't, at 7, don't be like, right? But when we start to release, just start like releasing your breath and keep releasing it slowly. Like you'll feel your diaphragm push in until we get to 7. Okay, are we ready? So ready, start inhaling. Hold it. Release it slowly. How do you feel?
None.
My
I feel like
mom
I'm
was so
more
sorry.
than
I'm like a
7.
pro at this.
Time
No,
out.
seriously, I've been
Time out.
going.
I breathed in too much air at the start.
Out through your mouth.
Yeah.
Like,
You
one
gotta slow it a little bit. So do this one more time. If you went too quick or too fast at the beginning or the end, slow it down a little bit. We're gonna do this one more time. I want you to feel how much you release in your inside.
You
Okay?
go let go just because.
All right, ready? All right, so we're gonna inhale. Hold it. Let it out.
trying
so hard
not to laugh.
You all sound like a leaking tire.
Yeah.
Let it out. How do you guys feel?
The same. My stomach hurts.
Does it
Usual
loosen you
because
a
I do
little
this all
bit?
the time.
Yeah.
I'm hungry.
So that deep breathing exercise, even if you're nervous, right, doing that 2 or 3 times in a row just kind of helps relax your body, relax you. That's something you can do backstage to really help calm your nerves. And then lastly, you're your worst critic, right? Very few people, the Creed is the one exception to this, but I always tell people when they're preparing their own speeches, nobody has a copy of your script in front of their seat, right? When you're giving a presentation, a speech, whatever, nobody has a copy of that. They're not reading along with you. They don't know if you missed the word and. They don't know if you left out a small sentence. You might be freaking out because you're like, shoot, I was supposed to say that sentence. Oh man, I messed up, right? Nobody else knows.
Yeah,
The Creed is a slight exception
Yeah,
because this is something that was written 87 years ago and has some studied sense. But outside of that, and other than FFA members who have really studied it, right, very few people are going to catch on to an and or an or. I will because I listen to this 40 times a year, but
More than
probably. But very few people are going to catch on to you missing one of those real small words. Okay, so have a little bit of faith in that too. That if you mess out, it's kind of okay. All right, the last thing when you are public speaking, before we get to how the 2 ways that you speak, is to plan out what it is that you're doing. have an idea of what it is that you're doing. Have an idea of where you're gonna move, have an idea of what hand motions you're gonna do, have an idea of what you're gonna say. Again, with the creed, this is very much planned out for you, so you can really focus on your technique. But have an idea what it is you're gonna do. When you go to give a speech, if you're somebody who, there's two types of people really when it comes to speaking. The creed, again, is the exception. But I used to be somebody who would write a 4-page speech, so it would last 12 minutes, because that's about how much I would be asked to come and speak for. And I would memorize it word for word for word for word, and I knew it, and it was internalized. And that way, when I was giving my speech, it was muscle memory to say it, and I could focus on, as Tyler was falling asleep in the back of the room, what I needed to adjust to get his attention back, right? Whereas if I was focusing so much on my words, I couldn't pay attention to those other things, okay? There's also some people who like to say, meh, I'm gonna talk about these 3 things, we're gonna see where the wind takes us, right? And I'm gonna make it up as I go. If you can do that, that is awesome, I admire that, okay? When you get to sophomores, I don't make you write out your speech, but if that's something that you can do, as long as I am listening to a good speech, that is what I care about, right? So whatever you have to do to be ready for this, do it. Whatever your style is, everybody learns differently, everybody memorizes differently. Figure out your thing and then go with it. That allows you to think on your feet, like I said. If you can, break the ice, right? Again, with the creed, you're gonna have a very formal introduction that you're gonna say, but for another day. When you go to answer stories and stuff, we kind of talked about this yesterday. If you're funny, fantastic, be funny. If you're not funny, don't try to be funny.
She looked at you when she was saying that.
Figure out your thing. I know I am not a comedian. I am not a stand in front of the room and straight up tell jokes and make you bust a gut funny. I'm kind of witty, I think. Maybe you disagree. I'm kind of witty, and I can throw in some of that and get my audience attention. But I know I'm not going to try and stand up here and tell them my jokes, because you guys are going to cringe, right? You're like,
Chloe likes not talking.
I do not like them at all.
Hey, Chloe.
Yeah, that's really all I have for that. Because that's more of a prepared speaking thing. Okay, so there are 2 ways to speak. There are 2 different things that you can do when you speak. Okay. Well, this is one. The next slide is the second thing. So the first way that you can speak is to speak by speaking. Yeah, I broke as well at that. It makes 0 sense. But speak by speaking. What do I mean by that?
Speak with your words.
You're speaking with your words. You're speaking with your voice. If I sit here in a straitjacket, I could still do different things with my voice to make you feel different ways. Right? I could still talk slower, lighter, or I could talk really loud and really fast and really exciting, and it helps make the speech feel different things, even if I'm not moving at all. Right? So I can speak just by using my voice, and there's different things that you can do with that to be a good and interesting speaker. So moving out those words, don't say just, don't say I think, don't say actually, right? If I'm trying to explain something and I say, I just think that this plan is a good one. I think it's gonna work. Okay? I think that this is this plan, I know, I went back. I just think that this plan is a good one, okay? This plan is a good one. Which one do you believe more?
Yeah, you the one you think.
Stop it. Right?
I prefer this one.
If I walk up to you and say, this is a good plan, okay? Or if I walk up to you and say, I think that this could probably be a good plan.
Or if we just don't adopt one, we just say good plan.
This plan, good.
Like we could be like monkeys.
But, that's gonna go a lot better though. You're gonna sound more confident. It's the same thing as when you introduce yourself, and this is actually something that we were trained to do. When you introduce yourself, how many of you say, hi, my name is Silas? Okay, and then only one of you say, hi, my name is Silas. But how many of you say hi when you're introducing yourself? Hi, my name is blah, blah, blah.
I said hi, Ryan.
Alright, listen to these differences.
You said that to my mom yesterday when you got in the
Listen to these differences and see what you guys think. Hi, my name is Aaron Wallen.
I shouldn't even say Aaron. Yeah, so,
Hi, I am Aaron Wallen.
hi, first one.
I like the second one.
You have hand
I say the
movements
second
where you
one,
do the
but the
first
first
one.
one.
You're like, hi, my name is Erin.
Okay, right, disregard the hand.
It had enthusiasm.
Hi, I am Erin Wallen.
It had enthusiasm. You tried.
Hi, my name is Erin Wallen.
Kind of sound the same.
She
I
didn't
like the second
abbreviate.
You
though.
said
The
Wallen or
first one's
Wallen?
kind of
She said,
funky.
hi, I'm Erin Wallet instead of hi, my name is. So she kind of like,
So we were always taught to say I am Erin, not my name is Erin. You are taking ownership of that, and it sounds so much more confident. Okay, so kind of goes with that too. When you guys are speaking, there are such strategies that you guys can use with your voice to make people feel things. Okay, so those pauses that we were talking about, if you're nervous, a lot of times can also be a pause for inflection. So if I'm telling you this story and we were walking down the creek, and
It's not crazy.
my little sister fell into the water
Well, I'd
in
laugh.
January,
and died.
and it was freezing.
And she died.
She actually spent 3 weeks in the hospital trying to recover from hypothermia after falling into the creek. I don't have a sister. But did you think it was?
I was gonna say, I'm making
As I'm
was
telling
thinking
you,
her sister died.
as I'm telling you this stuff, right? I use kind of pauses in between, which you guys used to try and figure out what the story was going to be. But those pauses, if I slow down, can actually be used for inflection to give the audience a set couple of seconds after I say something. Yeah, to let them listen. It gives them that couple seconds to think about what I just said, right? It gives them a couple seconds to process it, rather than my little sister was walking and she fell into the creek and it was winter and she got hypothermia.
I love talking like that.
Okay,
Really
my little
fast.
sister and I were walking. She fell into the creek. She got hypothermia,
No.
and she spent 3 weeks in the hospital trying to recover. Okay, so do you see those points how it kind of gives little like, oh my gosh, wait, what's happening? Like I want to know, right?
She dies.
Yeah, you guys tried to say that she died, but you didn't. But those little cliffhangers were like, what's going to happen next? So those pauses can actually be used for inflection, even if it's not traumatic, right? We were the top team in the state. We were at the state finals. We gave our presentation. We were waiting for results. The results came in. The judges were about to give the final outcome.
That's
We won.
that was
Okay,
boring.
sorry. But you said and then what, right? You were like, oh my gosh, you got me all worked up. What happened? Right? Your natural reaction was then what? So I gave you a couple seconds to have that feeling to be like, wait, what happens? Like, what's the end? Okay. So you're evoking that natural kind of cliffhanger thing by allowing yourself to pause sometimes. So when we're giving the creed, I believe in the future of agriculture. With a faith born not of words, but of deeds.
So emotional.
Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturalists and the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years.
Preach it, girl.
That's what you guys should look like on
Pretty
TV.
good,
Honestly, this is what I'm looking for on
That
TV.
was
So you guys might be like,
so much
super dramatic.
emotion.
But you want people
Dance and everything.
you want people to know what you're saying. You want to know what those words are saying so that you can project the right
I
emotion.
believe.
Right? If I say, which have come to us from the struggles of former years.
Struggled.
Wow, struggle, so
Girl.
exciting. So happy that they struggled. I'm so glad they suffered for 150 years so we could do this,
Yeah, me too.
right?
That's what I've always thought of.
So, so those emotions, those pauses, the way that you speak, all can help with that. That's where I'm saying all in the tone too a little bit, right? Is there's some strategies that if I'm building up for this big state event that happened and we were on the edge of our seats and I'm speaking a little bit faster now and a little bit louder now and I hope that you guys kind of have that like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen situation, right? And then we get to the end, we have to find out the results.
She's pregnant.
It wasn't before you trying to figure out who the father was. But anyways, so we're having these different things where I can speak faster, I can speak a little bit louder, I can make it sound exciting, I can slow my voice, I can soften my voice,
Make it depressing.
and it makes you just kind of think and reflect a little bit, maybe deliver bad news, maybe this is the tone that I'm telling you that I struggled a little bit. It sounds a little bit more relatable. Okay. I also, if you guys noticed in that, is that when I was over here, I was telling you guys oh my gosh, this is so exciting, right? And then as I started to slow my roll, I kind of move over here, I slow my voice, you can see that there's a transition happening, right? So we'll get to that in a minute when we talk about the fact that our visual transitions or visual movements can help our audience also kind of transition their brain and their thought process.
So then what do we write on the 2 lines? That was a lot.
So speaking by speaking, you can write pauses for inflections. You can write tone.
Hey,
You can write, actually those are probably your 2 biggest things,
What is it?
is pauses or pacing yourself. So making sure that you're taking appropriate tone or appropriate pauses, appropriate breaks at the right time.
appropriate markers.
And then also that your tone, that you're slowing when you need to slow for emotion, that you're speeding up when you need to speed up for emotion. Whatever the case may be. You guys have questions about that?
No.
I am expecting you to use these strategies when you present the creed. Okay? We're going to talk about speaking by speaking tomorrow.
Okay.
Wait.
We would watch the video.
Speaking by speaking.
Or speaking by acting.
I don't know where my spot was. I lost it.
Good. AJ.